Gladiators Legion. We also have Bloody coming in from Angry Titans, Fried from Second Wind as well. But everything seems totally clear in these comms. And like you said, Boop, you know, when they do stabilize, they're going to be totally fine. They're able to absorb that aggression.
That's where that experience really starts showing, right? Where you know, other teams might panic and be like, oh no, it's like, this is time, we gotta use our ults. Gladiators Legion has not done that so far, and again, that patience is a sign of maturity, and Chicken Contendies has actually shown that patience at times, but in the end, Gladiators Legion are up 2-0, and it doesn't matter how close these maps are, if you lose them in the end, your record says the final product.
Yes, what is on paper will be your final legacy, and Buck on this Brigida has had some good moments, but he does die quite often, so we're going to have to watch that Brigida positioning, making sure he's staying safe, and already the tanks from Contendies getting chunked down.
Yeah, the Reinhardts are going to be seeing each other. The particle barriers are down. Did get taken very, very low. That's the confidence that you said, but is it going to be a disadvantage or advantage this time? As Gig is going to reposition himself with that charge, but Buck going to get first blood here. Chicken Contendies could take, wow. Chicken Contendies will be taking this first point, but I see the eyebrow raise, HamTornado. Where does that belong?
Oh, no, I'm just exercising. You know, we're casters, so we're still a lot, but Contendies is not. Talk about.
He's obviously not been during the offseason.
Absolutely not. He actually, I think he does push-ups during the games. That's how he stays so sharp. Anyways, but Buck definitely producing really well. You can see he already popped a rally. That's how much damage and Inspire healing he was doing. Gig, of course, he wants to get that Zarya kill himself. So Contendies coming into point B with all of this confidence and tools as well. Hardblue is going to be trailing Dalton in terms of that grab charge, which is true, but suppose we'll have the trans to nullify Dalton's should that time come.
Trans on both sides, but when you're the attacking team coming from point A, the trans is almost necessary to try to get this second point. Water going to be using the rally a little bit after Chicken Contendies using their trans, so she's going to find a lot of value out of that extra armor. The Graviton Surge going to be eaten, so it's 1-1 both sides right now. Alphen got one, Hardblue got one. Gladiators Legion have 2 more ultimates, and so does Chicken Contendies. But with Pig going down, this is going to be a reset for Chicken Contendies. There's no way the attacking team will be able to recover.
Gig got what looked like a pretty good shatter. He was stunned out of his charge to finish that kill. So Legion are adapting, right? And this again is also a mark of a veteran team. You know, swapping up maybe your play style to meet that of your opponents, saving a boop, saving a shield bash or a charge, because you know the enemy Ryan wants to go in every time.
The Graviton Surge is going to be going in, and it looks like it's not going to find much value as no one's really in it, but Banker's going to be taken down from that self-destruct. Gladiators Legion have to use that sound barrier to keep this defense alive, as one tick has gone by the wayside for Chicken Contendies. Gig's going to use that Earth Shatter and immediately get stunned. I don't believe that made contact with the ground, so that was canceled. Good heads-up play from a Water there, who's going to be closer to that rally, and that might be all they need to maintain their presence on this defense. Here the rally go. Chicken Contendies hears it, and they're going to go reset.
Very good idea for the attackers here. It's assault, right? So this isn't control where you can eke out a win by trickling in people and trading. You have to get clean team fights, and Chicken Contendies, they're going to have to also take a couple of dry pushes, potentially build that ultimate bank back up. Gig went for a very aggressive shatter. Could have worked really well, but again, heads up play from Water, who stunned him out of it. So Legion still continue to hold, and Rolf is going to be very comfortable with his trans ready for whatever Contendies throws their way.
Yeah, a dry push is a push, if you're unfamiliar, in which you expect to lose, but you're trying to get the ultimates out of losing a team. So the Earth Shatter is going to be coming out from Anchor, only getting buffed, who has died first in a lot of these fights. Will it happen again? No, Gig's going to die a little bit beforehand, but Chicken Contendies is still going to reset regardless. Again,
you see Gig get a pretty good shatter down, and but this time Legion was ready. It was almost as if they were leaving that open window as bait, right? You know the Reinhardt wants to go in, even if he gets the ally bubble. If everybody engages on top of him, you're going to be able to burn him down pretty quickly. So that's kind of what happened in that last fight. So Contendies are up a trance and a grav, but down that Earth Shatter.
Down that Earth Shatter into the Gladiators Legion is going to have a Graviton Surge at their disposal for this defense. But there is a Transcendence on the other side. Harb's going to have a Graviton Surge of his own, but, you know, there is a little bit of side bet going on. It's 1-to-1 on the Eden grabs. Those Divas have found value off of that defense stage, even after that nerf, and Salty's going to be taken down very low. Now they are going to be saving all of Chicken Contendies within this Graviton Surge. Frag going to get 1 kill onto Gig, but that means no big shield for them as Chicken Contendies are going to fall by the wayside. And once again, Gladiators Legion stabilized on the defense, and Chicken Contendies can't break through.
Chicken Contendies backline members, finger looking good. You take down that first main tank, and it is almost like free pickings. So well played right there by Legion. Gig, though, we said he had that shatter with the shatter in the last one. He's almost going to have another one. So Chicken Contendies have a pretty good shot right here. You can, of course, combo that shatter with the self-destruct, or maybe, you know, you could find a volley across the map. That's always an option, but right now Zolik and Suppose both less than 30% towards those crucial support ults.
Rally going to start this engagement. Self-destruct is out. No kills from it there. Buck's going to use that rally. Gladiators Legion is not going to have the sound barrier for a little while longer, as he, I believe, was stunned out of it with that Earth Shatter somehow. And so Chicken Contendies is going to even this up, but trades are better for the defense, and they will stabilize once again, even though Bloody does lose out there.
I'm wondering if it's worth it, you know, just to save the Earth Shatter for a late fight, right? Like, you know that the ally bubble is down. You know that the shield is cracked because you're beating away at it, right? That's when you drop the shatter. Because right now, Tendies have been opening with that more often than not, and Legion have adapted, and they are ready to receive. They've been playing, you know, very well back. Their supports haven't really had a ton of pressure put on them just yet, and you need to be able to pressure them out, maybe even, you know, force a trance of some kind a little bit early, because Tendies don't have a big advantage.
Yeah, Gladiators Legion, I love that you said the adaptability is very apparent from them, as Chicken Contendies' strengths are not working anymore. Gladiators Legion so much use to get show that maturity. It's also going to be using that Graviton Surge. Suppose going to be using the Transcendence to counter that self-destruct from Pride. Not going to find anybody this time around. It's probably going to get done in that team. Next, they can use that Earth Shatter. Only finding Dalton in at the end, but good kills coming from Chicken Contendies. Keep this attack alive. All Gladiators Legion needs to do is get 2 picks, and they could bring it back, but we're not seeing that happen, as Painter, Wolf, and Luddy are the last ones remaining onto the objective. The Chicken Contendies has all 6, and a rally to the next 30 seconds ago. That armor's going to find value.
Yes, a shatter! Oh! Just so close. It could have been. Luddy, you see, drops the sound barrier as we go to the round complete screen. Could have been, you know, a different story maybe if he was able to lay the shatter onto the Hammond, but that's another tale. So it will be a map completion for Chicken Tendies, which is, again, looking good for this team. They actually also finish with time. Right.
Man, Gig is a tried and true aggressive Reinhardt. I play an aggressive Reinhardt, exactly. And so, but like the thing is like you said, that could work for you, right? But when it doesn't, you're feeding a ton of ultimate charge to the opposing team. So any advantage you take from landing a pin or being in front of your team, right, just goes by the wayside.
Exactly. It is kind of that give and take, right? So you can always assume, you always need to think about the best case scenario, but you also have to be considering the worst case scenario. And for Chicken Tendies, you know, best case didn't really happen for them until, you know, less than a minute was left on the clock, which is kind of how these assault maps go oftentimes. Maybe Legion just relaxing a little bit too much, right? All of that great discipline, that flexibility that we saw from them earlier, right? So now it's their chance, their turn to take a bite at the apple. And we've seen a little bit of Torb. We've added a couple of names to the hammer kill list, but I'm not sure if Legion are going to be running from the same playbook.
It's the Gladiators Legion, you know. While this might be exciting, there's little to know, you know, some of these characters might leave spawn. Everyone would love to watch water on some Genji. Chicken Contendies is going to be rocking that tried and true Goats composition. You know, it's almost like the story for even Overwatch League and Contenders is who's going to be the alpha goat? Who's going to be the goat at goats?
The goat that gets all goats.
Yep.
Yep. That is the question, and I like Gig flexing over to that Winston. When you're on the defense, a lot of times you're not going to know what's coming at you, and Reinhardt has that difficulty where, you know, you have no meaningful long distance damage, you have no real ability to challenge high ground either. So Winston is a good, real flexible pick, right? It gives you some options depending on what the enemy is bringing, and Legion just want to pressure the point with Panker on this run.
And so Gladiators Legion, though, going to be taken down pretty low. Chicken Contendies unable to finish off those kills, and actually Buck's going to be going down first once again. Feng on the other side, though, so this is a 5v5, but I would like the Reinhardt to be here a little bit more than this for Kita, but that Inspire Healing is going to be missed as Chicken Contendies with that one pick is going to continue this fight on potentially the high ground where Gladiators Legion is, but no, they decide to drop down as Water is going to be bodying Gig in the end. It does live and survive to tell the tale, as the rally is going to be the next chapter in her story.
I feel like it's a tragedy. Right? It's not a comedy here.
And so Chicken Contendies is going to lose a couple more members during this engagement. Gladiators Legion are going to have that Transcendence, and we mentioned that earlier. Having that Transcendence into that B push is huge.
Oh, absolutely. It gives you options once again. And Gig, on that Winston, he tried his darndest to peel for Harblu, who was extremely low, but Water smelled blood in the water, was able to take him down very early on, and there's nothing Gig could do but swap to the Reinhardt for the point B, but that means that he has no ultimate charge real to speak of.
Yeah, they opened that fight. Both shield dashes are at down, so this is going to be coming up here in just a second with these Graviton Surges and Self-Destruct coming out. That could be absolutely terrifying as Panker going to get the charge kill onto Buck, who dies first once again. Chicken Contendies going to fall by the wayside. Ooh, Gladiators Legion have those 2 picks and over 6 minutes left. They can take this fight as patiently as they want. They've got the time. No need to panic.
No, indeed. But Panker, he's so close to his Earth Shatter. He's going to go for a cheeky Spawn Shatter as well. Doesn't look like he needs it as Fried ends the round with an eat and grab. Sorry, Hardblue, that one's going to count.
You know, was it before? Was it before?
Was it before or after?
I do think I heard the sound cue, so it will count for today's tally. But, you know, that goes to show again how good these divas are, because remember, Defense Matrix got nerfed.
Yeah, you have to remember that, you know, this is not the same, this is not your grandma's Defense Matrix, right? You have a 2-second cooldown between even, like, fluttering it, right? So it really forces you into a place where every single ability usage has to be calculated.
Yeah, that goes to show that the game sense for these divas are super strong to know exactly when to use that defense matrix, because you're allowing other projectiles to hit your team, right? Because you're waiting for that right time.
Exactly. Even self-destructing as well. You know, you have to consider, we've actually seen this happen a little bit earlier today. I believe Avast called it. It was a great call that when you self-destruct, not only are you putting yourself at risk, but that means that the rest of your team, you know, could lose it, and they lost that fight because of a, you know, proactive self-destruct, which meant no matrix.
It's all about give and take, like you said, in general. But, you know, when you're winning, you're taking a lot more than you're giving. And if you're giving space, you're giving up time. It is all about that give and take in at the end. As Gladiators Legion going to be rocking the GOATS comp against Chicken Contendies GOATS comp. Right now, Gladiators Legion have looked better onto this GOATS composition.
Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest GOAT of them all?
It's the GOAT.
It is the question, because we do see true mirror matchups in 2 Reinhardts taking to the field. Gig back on his tried and true hero, hoping to get a little bit more done with the Rhine, the big German crusader. So
far, you know, I think there's a lot of trying, not a lot of truing with that aggressiveness. As the fight does start on the objective, Salty going to be taking a little bit of damage during this first attack. They only have 30 seconds left, but that starts off exactly like you wanted. Panker going to be going down 65 now for Chicken Contendies. This is a big deal now as Buck going to get another kill. 6v4. Gladiators Legion need to get a return kill onto Chicken Contendies, but it looks like they're just going to be giving up this point. They're going to be stopping at that B. This was so fast that Suppose barely gets to that ultimate.
Barely. There aren't going to be any ultimates on the field. Suppose is the closest, and we haven't really seen him find a ton of kills individually, but that was a great first pick onto Panker. That was what literally opened up the field for Tendies, and now they're rushing onto point B with every advantage.
And so Gig is now on the objective, swinging that hammer, rocking it right into Panker, who was stunned and then gets taken down. Chicken Contendies looking strong right now on the second push. Who needs 6 minutes and 4 seconds? All I need is 1 minute. They're so close to grabbing this first tick, but we've all seen Assault before. It is not over until that full circle is completed, as Gig and Harpoon are going to get kills for the team. Gladiators Legion not finding anything with that self-destruct they really wanted to use. The Earth Shatter going to be knocking Panker down. Panker has spent more time in spawn in the last 2 minutes than he has on the field. Chicken Contendies has made sure of that, as the first take has been taken.
Gig was spending his time in his favorite spot, the enemy spawn, and now Salty has the self-destruct should he need it to clear the point and pave the way for Tendies to finish the map once again. Panker, the last rodent standing here. Is he? Nope. Horizon Lunar Colony did not give him any home turf advantage.
Nope, no home
Feels
field
bad.
advantage at all. No 12th man. But the 7th man, I guess. I went a little too far into traditional sports there.
What do you
like
think
that?
this is? Meat sports?
Egg ball? And so Gladiators Legion have 6 minutes and 4 seconds to match what Chicken Contendies did in their minute. But what Gladiators Legion have is time on their side, so they can kind of do whatever they want here to explore this first point, make sure they get their ults, and make sure they have ults rolling into B.
Yes, what Time Bank buys you is freedom, right? Leeway. You can even run like a Hammond, Pharah, Sombra, Tracer dive of some kind, you know, see if you can catch the defense off guard, because what you have, the advantage that you're always going to have as the attackers is the ability to swap up your comp almost immediately, right? So Dalton on this Sombra likely just going to be for scouting, probably, to see what they're coming up against.
Yeah, we actually saw that happen at the beginning of the round last time, as Gladiators Legion maybe thought the bunker cop was coming out of the side, and that's why I think we saw that Widow. We saw that Genji from water. They saw that it was goats, and they decided to switch back to their own goats.
Exactly. So, Chicken Tendies, the name of the game is going to be staying alive. Although, well, honestly, it is all the time, but especially when you're on the defense, there's no mercy. There are no do-overs here for Tendies. They want... Coming up against a bank of 6 minutes, that's plus over 2 minutes to what they give you to start with. So this is a very, very formidable time bank. They want to stay alive as long as possible. A single pick is going to spell doom for this Winston dive defense, or Winston Goats defense, rather.
So they do invest into the scouting, and that's going to let them know that Goats is going to be the better composition to run for this first attack. If the other team is running Goats, it's better for you to run Goats as well, particularly here on Lunar Horizon Colony. Because if they're running Goats, but they do have that Winston, right? So they are going to be able to utilize that high ground. The Gladiators Legion are going to be able to attack the point a little bit better. Panker going to get that first kill onto Gig, who apparently also plays an aggressive Winston. Gladiators Legion, though, going to not be very close to those ultimates. They actually don't want to win this incredibly quickly because they want something going into that last point so they can come into that next attack, as they did not finish with any time Chicken Contendies did. Gladiators Legion looking really good right now. Maybe actually Chicken Contendies knows, hey, let's just give this up so they don't have anything for the second point.
Exactly. That's going to be the difficulty as a Reinhardt. It's hard to take initiative, get that damage. You're not like as proactive as a Winston with his Tesla cannon, and Gig is back in this fight, and he is angry, 2 seconds away, and he has the Primal Rage. So now Chicken Tendies, should they choose to do so, they have a lifeline to hold on to with this defense.
So they ended up using everything to try to stop them on point A, which might cause them to lose point B very, very hard. At that point, take your losses. It's easier to defend point B. Use your ultimates there, but Chicken Contendies is going to invest the Transcendence, which they will not have coming into this next point. People are still recovering from spawn. Gig will be in spawn when they do enter this point.
This is bad news, Bears. Even with that Brigida shield, Buck pops the rally to try to give his team as good of a chance as he can, but with no main tank.
Bigger bang combo potential, no. Panker, though, going to get that kill. Pile drive, what Gig into the backline, was able to come back into this fight. The Earthshatter going to be knocking Gig back into the spawn, just like Panker on their attack. Gig spending more time in spawn than on the field. Gladiators Legion have everything they need to finish this out. Chicken Contendies have absolutely nothing to try to stop them here, as Gladiators Legion are going to try to avoid the draw and get the win the regular way, though a draw does give Gladiators Legion the series win.
Yes, they will still take the series, even if Tendies hold them before 1 tick on point A, but Gig, no, not like this. It was, I mean, because here's the thing, we've seen Primal Rages be quite effective against Reinhardt Goats in the past. So much displacement, right? It's really hard to pin that Winston down, right? And while he's throwing the opponents into the air, you can start getting a little bit of value from your Zarya, from your, Zenyatta. But in this case, he Primal Raged when like 4 members of his team were dead already. And that's, you would have loved to see that for the point B defense if he was alive, buying a little bit more time and space for Tendies rather than, again, kind of letting the aggression get the better of him and throwing that ultimate into the wind.
Well, I think what goes hand in hand are aggressive tank players and momentum, right?
Yes.
And so, like, I think you give and take that momentum away almost single-handedly. And, you know, again, like you said, blessing and a curse, but right now, there hasn't been a lot of taking from Chicken Contendies, right? They got the 4 points, but they've lost the series, and they still have 4 minutes and 23 seconds, only 7 seconds less than what they originally would have on what is now their third push.
Yes, so now is a great time, a great learning experience for Tendies, who are, you know, an unsigned trials team, so they're still working out the kinks, no doubt. Regardless of what ended up happening in that last fight, the initiative from Tendies was great. You drop down when you're running that Winston Goats, you drop down on top of the death ball, try and separate the front and back line, engage on those supports, take them down early. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. Gig wasn't able to get out. He died first, and now already, oh, the stun comes in, he drops the bubble, he lives!
Oh, he does live by the skin of his fisticuffs, I guess, with that Winston. And so he's still very, very low. The supports were unable to get him, but he's now finally over half health because of that armor pack there. One of the only burst heals that we have in this game. Gladiators Legion struggling right now to do anything, but the healing is there as you see those health bars just jump right back up. We're back to an even fight as Chicken Contendies on this defense looking good. If Gate got picked off there, this game would already be over, but the particle barrier cooldown was great. Yes,
great particle barrier cooldown, and now he has Primal Rage. He's going to try and separate Panker from the herd.
And he was charging, so it's going to take an extra second or two to come back into the game as he's going to hit the wall and have to come right back as Dick get taken down low once again. And so far, the aggression actually paying off this time around.
Getting him his ultimate very quickly, which his team desperately needs. And now he gets the burst heal, and Panker is down.
Self-destruct does go down. Roll finally getting a kill for Gladiators Legion, but with no Panker, they're not going to have that Earth Shatter. There's nothing to combo that self-destruct with. Pride letting him into the old-fashioned way. When Buck goes down, right, the rest of the team seems to go down with them. That's what we're seeing, unfortunately, as Gladiators Legion showing up right now on this third point. They don't want to draw. They want the victory. After they grab this tick, they'll have it.
Yep, and indeed, Panker shattering just for style points. I believe that is a plus 15 according to the official international Overwatch rules. Indeed. And that will be Legion taking the series as well as that map.
Well, we've got one more game to go. And, you know, something that seems to be, you know, a little apparent to me is that, you know, through trials, and I'm not trying to hate on trials teams, the level of competition is not the same. Right? They're coming up against an academy team, and they may not, maybe in scrims have been able to do this, but here on the stage, on stream, in Contenders, right, they haven't faced that level of competition before, and that kind of adaptability that really made Chicken Contendies struggle there on Lunar Horizon Company.
It's not a knock against trials, right? Like, all of these great unsigned trials team, there's a lot of true path to pro, you know, stories coming through open division, right? Grinding it out, working, you know, maybe without any support, no coaching, no staff, no management. It's really a testament to how strong these teams are that, you know, they keep things interesting, keep things very competitive. And now it is the chance, like you said, to learn from these, you know, Contenders teams who have, you know, seasons under their belt. They've seen this, you know, they've seen this before, right? And so it is going to, I think in this case, in that last map in particular, it was Legion's adaptability that put them over the top.
Honestly, this was a great litmus test for both teams, right? Is Gladiators Legion with this newer roster going to come in and absolutely dominate? Will Chicken Contendies, you know, be a pushover or not? And, you know, well, as Horizon Lunar Colony got a little bit longer, every map so far is like the longer it goes, the better Gladiators, you know, Legion get. But it's definitely been a little closer. Control was quite close. King's Row was quite close. And so they're showing up. So they're going to learn a lot from this loss, and they'll know exactly what line now that they need to pass in order to compete with these other teams.
I would say so. This is a very good litmus test for both teams. I mean, we touched upon it at the very beginning of this set, but Tendies' goal is going to be to keep it competitive. Right.
Well, the goal was to win.
Okay.
Right?
The goal is
now that
always to win.
Now we've moved the goalpost a little bit.
We have shifted just a little bit of the target, but Legion themselves too, right? They've always been a middle of the pack team, you know, ever since they've been in Contenders. And is this going to be that Cinderella moment? They've had roster shifts, you know, and now they brought on this new talent, kept some of the old talent. You know, you got veterans in here, every single one of them. Is this going to be like that perfect set, you know, team that is able to challenge, you know, Fusion University, who's still still, are sitting at the very top, even though 5-game set and Fusion University named like a more iconic duo.
A win is a win.
A win is a win. Yeah.
Blizzard says that they won, and their streak is still there. And so, another thing that's really interesting about just, again, the Trials versus Academy team dynamic is how awesome it is for these Trials team to learn from all of the experience that they're going to see from these Academy teams, and then potentially use that to beat them in the end. Like, that's the transformation from, like, little baby sapling team, right? Like, second wind, right?
Yeah.
They came into the season, and I believe almost everybody had them last place at the beginning of last season. They got that one in Gladiators Legion. People, were starting to believe. And then, as they went on, and it was amazing. It was amazing work, and you saw them grow throughout the entire season. And looking at these Trials teams and being completely honest with you, these Trials teams look good.
They are very strong. I would say so. And that's excellent, right? Because competition is always going to be
Parity's
good.
Great.
It pushes the Contenders teams forward. It pushes the Trials teams forward. And you're absolutely right. People had written off second win for ages because it was a struggle buggy. It was a struggle buggy for quite some time. But then they landed upon that special, set of players,
that
coach,
sauce,
right? That special sauce. You got to be the boss of your sauce, right? Go in aggressively, play your style, but sometimes it does require a little bit of flexibility, playing around your opponent.
And so Gladiators Legion are up 3-0, and they have won the series. We are going to be going to Junkertown next, and it will be the last map of today. Will Chicken Contendies be able to get a point and map win on the board? Last season, map win-loss differential did decide who made the playoffs. I believe in Group B, which was Gladiators Legion group last year.
Yes.
Envy did end up sneaking into that playoff spot, but again, these maps that you lose here at the beginning could make or break your playoff hopes.
Yes, every map truly does count here in Contenders. And I'm curious to see who Gig will play. Because, we've been casting this guy, and I'm bias caster. I love watching him play. Like, and we do see.
It's like he's always on the line.
Yeah,
right? Like,
yeah.
which side is he going to fall on? So far, he's fallen on the bad side, I think a little bit more
recently.
Often. But glimmers of if he's able to control, right? It's not all about, we know he's got the aggressiveness. That Earth Shatter earlier, was that? No. But anyway, it was like, Gig has had great shatters. He had some good Winston play there, but he doesn't seem to be able to put it all together and be that solid tank for Chicken Contendies just yet.
Maybe not quite yet. You can't put all of it on the shoulders of your main tank. There's a question of resource allocation, but Buck just going to take a peek outside. Didn't quite like what he's on.
He's going to be winning, and he's probably got gold hero damage right now.
I got medals, guys.
Yeah, I got 3 gold medals. That means it wasn't me. And so I say that it's like that's almost going to be the title of my book. Gladiators
autobiography.
Yeah, Gladiators Legion going to be starting this a defense with goats and a kill onto Buck. So it doesn't matter if he's on Brig or Sombra. Dying first seems to be in his blood. First blood. Hey, Chicken Contendies is going to be losing something here very soon, but Spawn is so close that it doesn't matter. And I love that teams are doing this now because, like, why not? By the time it gets to a point where you're going to fight anyway, you're back.
Yeah, and Legion have guaranteed themselves one more defense, at least, right? Before they get to point B. And hard blue! Manages to get that self bubble, stays alive, but it was risky for a second there. You saw him getting bodied, but it doesn't quite matter. Suppose falls a Gig as well to his counterpart Panker, who has really been picking it up. We didn't see a ton of production from the Legion Ryan for a little bit, but he's seemed to really come into his own in the later half of King's Run, in particular Horizon Lunar Colony.
Yeah, Chicken Contendies seems to be suffering from a little agoraphobia right now, unable to leave their current surroundings because they keep getting sent right back, but they are going to be getting their ults. Gig will have that Earth Shatter, so you will expect he will be in the front lines. They're trying to make it happen. Hardblue's going to go ahead and drop that grab concert on it to the payload, which has actually made some good progress, in which they might be able to get a little bit past the bridge here, the second bridge, where a lot of these fights do take place. That's not best case scenario for them at all.
And Buck with a great EMP right there hit almost everybody from Legion who was still alive, right? So took him a little while to farm up to that EMP with the difficulty leaving spawn, but that was a great value ultimate, and now he's going to have that space to scout ahead, see where Legion are engaging, hack those packs, maybe frustrate Luddy, you know, get a hack onto Fried. There's a ton of utility with a Sombra, and Legion, their adaptation is going to be putting Rolf on the Ana, his OG hero.
Yeah, they actually made a lot of progress on that payload more than Gladiators Legion would have wanted, but they do have ultimates to try to win this fight. Buck dying once again, and we've seen this pattern happen. Will Chicken Contendies be able to break the pattern? The Earth Shatter is only going to get Rolf. Luddy's going to get Shield Bash, but still no kills on either side. Sound Barrier for Chicken Contendies will be depleted, so Gladiators Legion will have theirs, and that might be all they need, especially after this Graviton Surge, but no, Panker actually getting taken pretty low. Luddy getting the kill on 2 Gig is gonna be bad news for Chicken Contendies. Gladiators Legion still have a 6v5. This is a reset opportunity for Chicken Contendies, who have 1 minute and 16 seconds left.
Still a minute left, but you saw right there from Harblue's POV, Panker's so low. And in any other situation, if Rolf on this Ana was not alive, there wouldn't have been enough healing to keep those tanks up. So this Ana pick has worked out really well for Legion, and now Rolf is going to go onto the high ground for that better positioning. He's looking for a good nano target. Panker is always a great option.
And that's exactly what Harblu has, you know, Harblu's been focusing Panker Shield for that Graviton Surge, but is Rolf going to focus Panker for that Nano? It looks like that's exactly what's going to happen, but they saw the Nano go down and they were like, run!
Yes, yes. That is called a rubber band defense, and they played it really well. Now it's Panker who is potentially getting a little too overconfident. He was actually chasing Suppose solo. We saw from that bird's eye view, he went around the other side of the cabin, but Suppose was able to get the drop on him, and now Legion fighting with a man down.
That could have been a very good move onto Harblu, getting him into a sticky situation, and Fried's going to get that kill on to Buck. Gladiators now have a 6v5. Chicken Contendies haven't been able to move this payload for very long. Water going to be knocked down during the rally, so no armor for anybody else on Gladiators Legion. Fried is able to maintain a little bit, but he's demeched, so it doesn't matter. So Chicken Contendies is going to use that sound barrier. Good grenade. Almost took Salty down, but they weren't able to finish that off. As Chicken Contendies will be taking this first point, 2 minutes and 26 seconds to finish Streets.
It was a close thing, though, for them. You saw the time counting down. They have bought themselves more to get that point B, but both of the Reinhardts right now kind of like free range quite a bit, I would say. Gig got a beautiful shatter. Panker was nowhere near water to keep him safe. And so, or Dalton. And now a trade, again, back and forth are these two teams, but Harblu does have the advantage in terms of the Graviton Surge charge.
Hey man, Buck, you gotta change one thing. Dying first every fight is not helping Chicken Contendies out, so change something about that behavior. Be a little bit more conservative in how you want to handle these fights. Chicken Contendies again losing Harblu, and with Buck dying, Harblu dying, that's 45 seconds off the clock potentially.
It is going to be dangerous, but yes, they have bought themselves a window of opportunity. Fried has to get back into mech, so if they engage very quickly, they are going to have grab. They're close to an EMP. Gig salivating at the thought of shattering.
You know it. You know exactly what he's doing. It's not just salivating, he's full on trolling right now to get this big shatter. If it's going to come from Gladiators Legion first, Fire Strike Kill's going to get Jola. Gig's going to use the shatter, get Panker, and he's going to be going down. And so Dalton's going to be using that Graviton Surge. Finally, Fried is able to get back into the mech, but trades again happening here. You don't see Streets phase for very long, but this defense actually doing a very good job so far.
I'm wondering what that grab was from Harblu. He did catch Dalton on the high ground, but he was all alone with no members of, you know, Tendies around to capitalize on that kill. He does eventually go down, but the rest of Tendies also fell. However, they are now rebounding back here. Legion scrambling for any kind of defense.
Good first pick from Buck, changing that behavior. Instead of being the first one to go down, he's the first one to take.
Seems to be either or.
Yeah, exactly. He's living on the pulse, right? And so Gladiators Legion going to be giving up this second point again with less than a minute left on the clock. But a minute 51 is going to be the final time for Chicken Contendies to grab this third point, and that's not a ton of time for Junkertown 3.
You have the EMP at the ready. The question is, are you going to try and use it proactively against Wolf's Trance, or use it after Luddy drops the beat and nullify all those shielding? He might not even need it with Dalton already falling.
Oh, really good hack on the Panker as well. Had no idea the Sombra was behind them. So Chicken Contendies is going to get another easy fight. And looking at the clock, there was only 20 seconds to make this much more progress.
They're going to take the shortcut, too, down underneath the Mega Pack here just to see if they can catch any stragglers, see if they can push some spawn pressure on, which seems to be one of their favorite play styles. Buck once again looking for the perfect target for that good positioning, because there actually is no brig on the enemy side, so you're not going to get stunned out of it, but you still want to get great value out of it because you are down to your last potential push.
I remember when Eclipse was able to sleep an EMPing Sombra and was able to cancel the cooldown. She does come out of stealth very, very early, uses the EMP, only gets 3, but 2 of them are very, very important as Fried and Panker are 2, actually the 3 most, arguably the most important ones. Wolf is going to use that Transcendence and Letty use the sound barrier already. We've been seeing that EMP cause the support ultimates to get stacked. Chicken Contendies is going to be in this fight still. They still have those 6 people, but Panker's going to get stunned because of this Earth Shatter. Water going down. Water actually having a pretty, quiet debut so far for Gladiators Legion. I feel like this has been a pretty good team kind of performance so far today. Chicken Contendies is putting on a really good team performance right now on Junkertown.
Indeed, it looks like they are going to be getting this unless Water.
Yeah, they're going to be trying to force overtime at this point, which they might not be able to do. And again, seconds are an eternity here in Overwatch. So they're about to get I think it was 1.9 seconds if this goes to extra innings.
I'm going to guess 1.7.
As we wait with bated breath.
1.9!
There it is. And so, yeah, I could read. Yeah, it's
you
good.
are a numbers man, but
eyes working.
Yes.
Gladiators Legion, though, they know what to do. They've got to stop. They've got to make sure that Chicken Contendies doesn't stop them on their attack. Something I would love to see at this point in time is Water on that Genji. You can run Genji here on Junkertown if you so choose. You can technically run Genji on any map if you choose to do it. But I feel like there's just so much playmaking potential there that we're not seeing.
Yes, I do feel like Water hasn't quite been able to stretch, as much on the Brigitte as he has in the past on some of those DPS heroes. But, the question is not, in this meta, it's not just about me, but the team, right?
Speaking of me, let's talk about Gig a little bit, because he's, I'm being a little mean, but how do you think his performance was on that attack? We've been harping on him kind of a lot, and so were there any changes? Were there any positive looks that you saw?
It didn't seem like he really radically changed his playstyle. No. What I did notice was that Buck was getting good hacks. Again,
wasn't dying first.
Right, wasn't dying first. He was getting good hacks, getting some good EMPs that it seemed like all of Tendies was ready, looking for, who they're going to fall upon once that EMP comes through. So, a lot of good forward thinking. It's not just what's immediately in front of your eyes, but like 2-3 steps down the road. Tendies has been, kind of adjusting that view. Oh no, Buck!
No.
This is where the Buck stops playing on the field. He's back in respawn.
Stops here. Yep. And so I'm surprised it took us this long to get there. And so Gladiators, because we love bad jokes. And so Gladiators Legion starting off strong. Luddy doing his best Widowmaker impression there. Opening spawn, getting those kills. Chicken Contendies are going to have to come back and defend a little bit later.
They will have one more shot here, but it has to be the defense of a lifetime. Going to be quite difficult. Again, Buck is going to take some time to get into position with this Sombra. Right now, he's just kind of peppering in damage. Oh, Basalti goes down.
Actually, there's a really good particle barrier onto Panker during the hack from Sombra that actually kept him from getting hacked. Really good heads-up play from Gladiators there. Chicken Contendies falling by. I said wayside a lot today. We're going to say it again because that's what's happening. They're all over the sides. They're all over the map, and they're all dead.
I wonder if, I have noticed Buck kind of frontlining, a little bit. There's, some different play styles with Sombras that we see. One is a little bit more of that death volley Sombra. You are going to be, close to your team, looking for a hack on a tank, perhaps. Or you have the complete, flanking Sombra, like the off-the-grid Sombra, right? Always gunning for those Zenyatas, and maybe that would be a good adjustment for Buck, though he is going to be very close to that EMP coming into this next fight, because we haven't seen as much value right now, and Tendies on the defense don't have that room to give.
Chicken Contendies are going to give 2 kills once again to start things off. Gladiators Legion still looking really good on their attack. They potentially are going to be able to do street phase without stopping the payload.
Yeah, Buck fell to Dalton Zarya, which is not something that we see as often, which is why I'm wondering if his position, if he had kept in the backline, might have been a little bit more advantageous. So you do have 3 supports who are all very capable of taking care of each other, though, so that could be risky.
So it looks like they're going to try to stop him here on the streets phase. Chicken Contendies going to be losing big to start things off. The EMP, though, getting 4 members. Rolf. Look at that heads-up play, using that Transcendence beforehand, so everyone who got hacked would stay alive. And then Rolf was almost dead himself, but he's still in this fight. Pager getting taken down very, very low. They were able to take about 10 to 15 seconds off the clock during that fight. Chicken Contendies invested a lot into it, though.
They wanted to try and give themselves the best possible positioning for point B, but unfortunately, they're still staring down a time bank of 5 minutes. Water!
We're going to stay dehydrated.
It is dry. But Legion, though, they're still going to be thirsting for a fast win here. 5 minutes, so, you know, Bloody looking for the boop. Oh, the barrier saved the run.
Very, very good stuff, and another good example of that particle barrier being so effective on these displacements and attacks and that damage. You know, we see it with the damage mostly, but it's a cleanse, right? And so Chicken Contendies going to get booped off themselves as Luddy finally going to make contact there. They're going to have to drop down onto the low ground. Luddy does have that sound barrier. Oh, look at that, amp it up. I loved watching that Lucio POV. That was some good stuff coming from Luddy. Sound barrier going to open up the point for them, and this is why they're making some progress. Chicken Contendies are going to have to wait for that shield to go down. The Buck's going to die first, but no bricks on either side. That's the only time that's really okay for your team is when the trade does happen. Suppose was able to get that Transcendence before the end of this fight, but Chicken Contendies are going to have to wait for a self-destruct or a rally to do it again. And look at Salty's ult charge go up. This could be enough for him to take the payload back, as defensive spawns are going to become a thing here.
Yeah, Zolik was actually caught behind the payload, went down to a volley, and so now Chicken Contendies functioning without one of their supports, without Harblue either.
Self-destruct not going to find any value. Going to pay the price for that one. Gladiators, Legion, water taken so low, but it's going to be able to use that rally. The healing was there. Chicken Contendies still dying over and over again on this Legion offense. They get taken to school here on Junkertown.
Yep, and it is going to be a tough defense, no doubt, undoubtedly, for Tendies, but a minute, right? You get a chance to push the payload as far as you can go, and I'd love to see, you know, again, maybe a little bit more production from Harblue. You see the members of the Tendies team who are, you know, gaining ultimate really fast. That's a gig, right? And Buck, as much as he overextends, right, of whatever hero he's
if you're
playing,
overextending, you're probably pushing it.
Yeah, you're pushing. He's always going for that fast ultimate generation. But it does seem a little bit disjointed. Like, maybe you have, like, rather than a 6v6, it feels like 6 1v1s at times, right? You had Buck Sombra dropping to Dalton. You had, you know, kind of these really interesting random deaths, which unfortunately you're not going to be able to get away with against a team like Legion who are playing at this caliber, right? So even though Panker is not maybe as aggressive per se of a Reinhardt as Gig, he knows when to pull it back, right? And it looks like Legion are going to be defending with that, their version of the 3-3. Water staying with his Ana, going to be making usage of some of that amazing aim. He was playing very well in that last fight. But Buck, you know, just taking a gander, just warming up the turret just a little bit. But he will be back on this Brigida, where positioning will be key once again.
Water on Ana. Still trying to get used to that site, but we actually saw some DPS flexing on Ana a little earlier today, as the sleep doesn't look like it will connect, and a lot of Gladiators are falling right now. Chicken Contendies is going to get 2 kills to start things off, and that's so good for them. When they have the momentum, they play so much better.
Absolutely, 100%. And they're going to have the ultimate advantage too, which is even more crucial for this next fight. If they can get a point A, that is such a huge win for a team that only started with a minute. So Gig, once again, you know, swinging just in case. You never know, you might swing into an invisible Sombra. It's a possibility. Throws a Fire Strike. It gains so much charge. He is only 4 seconds away from that shatter. So now Legion on the positioning too. They know that Panker doesn't have anything. Nobody really has anything.
Hello! I think that we could classify that as a fatty shatty. Gonna get the kills as well. And so, again, like we're seeing it in front of our eyes right now. When that momentum is there and they feel confident,
it works.
Yeah, Chicken Contendies wins.
Yeah, it's that special sauce that Tendies need in order to make their pushes work. However, now the question is going to be, can they stay disciplined? Are they going to be able to continue to rotate ultimates? We're not going to see, support ultimate overlap, tank ultimate overlap, right? Because now that it is overtime, you have to stay on the car. You need to keep that ball rolling.
And on Junkertown, momentum is the name of the game. You can totally do Street Space in overtime as Graviton's Surge is going to be off of the point. Panker going to be isolated and not going to die. Dalton, though, going to take his own life. Panker eventually falling. Gladiators Legion, again, not having a good time on this defense. This seems to be a pretty standard thing so far. What we've seen almost all day today is good offenses, but defense is struggling for a period.
Defense is certainly a little bit holy from every team on day one. As we saw a very late transcendence from Rolf after, in fact, both of the tanks had perished. So that's going to be trance off the table for Tendies, who are rolling in with the self-destruct and shatter at the ready. Zolik also ready with the sound barrier to, just to dance, make that music felt.
Everyone, you were dancing at the beginning of this game, right?
That's very generous of you to call it dancing.
you were just feeling the Lucio beats, and so Chicken Contendies have a beat, and so do Gladiators Legion. Tank's going to start things off with an Earth Shatter, not get anybody, but Buck's going to fall again, but so is Water, so things are even now. They're going to get a second kill onto Luddy, and Luddy's been an integral part of Gladiators Legion being successful in this Goats composition. Heartblue going to continue the trend of Zarya's, doing it themselves. Getting another kill. He plays an aggressive Reinhardt in. Indeed, this time around, kind of worked, but not enough.
It's still a pretty impressive push, though, Boop, not only for Tendies, who did feel the momentum slipping on their defense, right? And you remember they only started with 1 minute and nearly got 2 points. So it's 1 point and 81 meters to their name for this round. So that's plenty of cushion. So again, momentum-based, right? So if they can get something, like a close defense, I wonder what they would do with that kind of spawn camp that Legion pulled out in the very first round. Legion, again, we start to see maybe a little bit of slippage, weird trances, but they were able to just eke it out with man advantage in the very end. But as comfortable as this time bank is for the Legion, we've seen teams with more kind of slip up right before point A.
Yeah, I'll never forget Sky Foxes on Horizon Lunar Colony with 6 minutes in the time bank, but that goes to show, I'm not trying to harp on him, but it goes to show that anything can happen, right? You can go into any attack or defense feeling hyper confident and lose.
Yeah, and especially in mirror matchups, mentality does play a really big role because you have no inherent advantage in terms of the heroes that you're playing, right? So it's skill, right? My pure Reinhardt skill. That's me speaking. And that it's going to be the skill and kind of the way that you approach each one of these fights. Water on the Sombra right now could just be for a scout, but there's not really any surprises on the side of the defense here.
You can run different combos on what the defense is running, and so again, you use the Sombra to get that scout going, and the defense doesn't have an opportunity to switch, but the offense does, and that gives you an inherent advantage. If they're running their comps now, other than the Sombra going to be what they need to take things over the edge. Holy aggression. Water. I love what that did there. Using a little bit of high ground advantage with the translocator, it doesn't matter as they're winning it out.
I have the high ground now, Buck. A falling hack onto a Brigida. That is definitely style points right there, and with it, Legion take that fight, and they're going to get the distance. So Water, I'm actually quite happy to see what he can get done with this Sombra, very close to that EMP, but Chicken Tendies will have some tools because they won, half of a great fight right there. Suppose gonna have that trance, which is always crucial, and Salty can buy time with the self-destruct. But Buck chunked down so low. This is the thing with Legion. They can tell who has been overextending, and they will focus them.
Oh, yes, please. Water's EMP is gonna hit all 6 members of Chicken Contendies. after seeing that first translocator, right? You're like, this guy's got an aggressive Sombra.
He's got some moves.
Yeah, he's got some
right?
hops, and he uses those hops to get a 6-man EMP, and Chicken Contendies goes down.
There's almost nothing that you can do there. No EMP, no abilities available, so they are going to wisely set up for the Streets phase defense here. And again, Legion, though, they seem like the ball is in their court. They're playing with all of the right cards. They still have defensive options, and Dalton's grab is still online. However, they may need to go for the wraparound, force Tendies off of this high ground first.
Chicken Contendies does have that high ground advantage. Water maybe finally the aggression not paying off for his Sombra. It's 2 kills now for Chicken Contendies and only a Transcendence invested, but now there's no more ultimates for them. They do have the rally. Gladiators Legion still going to be giving a little bit more O-charge to Chicken Contendies before they can reset.
Suppose got slightly spooked right there, popped a trance very early when Legion were not going to be pushing in, without their Sombra, and that's actually great news for Legion, who have their own trance, Sound Bearer right behind, and they know nothing is online for Tendies right now, so they can go in with all of their money. Oh no!
Oh, Jake is going to get the first kill on the roll. Dalton going to be using that Grab Hunter, Buck going down. Tendies, it's 5v5, now all the ults upon ults are happening, and something big happened, and that is what you call a self-destruct. And, I would love to give the Diva all the credit, but usually at this level of play, it's someone else making sure the self-destruct finds value.
There is always, going to be that Zarya kind of being like, it was my setup. It was my grab, right?
It was the boop, it was the shield bash,
yeah.
It was the pin, yeah.
Hey, results are results, though, and now we have the slate wiped blank once again. There's only one trance on the side of Legion, but Tendies hold on to the sound barrier, and they have the better positioning. The prequels were right with something here, as we see an early trance forced.
Very well done. Sound Barrier is going to go down for Chicken Contendies. They have the shield. The Gladiators Legion, though, don't have any support ultimates. They only have 17 seconds left on the clock. Rally going to be one of the only things that they can use. As Luddy is stunned, but does survive. Chicken Contendies still very, very healthy, but no, Gig is going to go down as I say that. Gladiators Legion have an opening, and they could take it. Dalton's going to get a second kill. They really want this 4-0 sweep. They don't want Maps to lose their playoff potential again this season. They are taking the destiny into their own hands and making sure they give themselves the best chance at this map win.
And it's a good chance, Boop. They have 2 ultimates coming in, the tried and true bigger bang combination. You have a trance to Panker, now the one kind of styling drop down behind Shatter, the sneaky Shatter, and Chicken Tendies. If they get caught by this grab, they could be sitting ducks in the hallway.
Oh, I love the positioning there from Dalton. Look at where Luddy was trying to go. He was trying to do his best water impressioning, getting behind the team, moving him back, but it's not going to work. Chicken Tendies actually coming back at this fight. 60 a little late for Gladiators Legion.
15 seconds.
They might actually have a little bit more time. There's only 10 seconds left now. Is Harblu going to be getting the kill? Will this be Chicken Contendies' first map win in North American Contenders? It's sure looking like it so far. 1 more second left in a potential overtime.
Oh, poor Luddy goes down. He started overtime, but he couldn't even wins it. He can't even drop the sound barrier, and that will be Tendies. Checking that box. First map win. Congratulations.
Yeah, that's got to feel really good if you're Chicken Contendies, because that's a first, right? First map win in North American Contenders, and that's got to be really good going into this next week, right? Next Monday when we see this group again, Chicken Contendies might come out and be a little bit more confident.
It's always a possibility. We've seen growing pains from a number of, freshly minted teams today, so the sky's the limit. Again, the competition looks phenomenal this season. Every single team has an amazing, they have a potential to keep things very hotly contested.